As herpetoculturists, we have one goal in mind, and that's the welfare of the animals that we keep. Unfortunately, we can't take that glowing gas ball in the sky that we call the sun and shove it into our reptiles' habitats. It wouldn't provide them with all the energy that their poikilothermic bodies require. Instead, we rely on companies to do their best to mimic the sun's energy in heat lamps, DP projectors, and LEDs. Not only is it reptiles that need energy in the form of light, so do the plants that we keep in their habitats. It just so happens that when I was starting to revamp the 12x12x18 with new plants that are more well suited to my Oophaga Pumilio's requirements, that Exo Terra reached out to me to help promote their brand new line of tropical plant growth LEDs. Hey, what's up guys, it's Mike with Alpha Reptile, and today we'll be reviewing the brand new LED from Exo Terra. It's called the Forest Canopy 6500 Kelvin Tropical Plant Growth LED. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to see more reviews like this. Make sure you click like, share it with your friends, or anybody who you think might find this useful. Let's get into the video. Now, just before I give you a bit of a before and after and talk more in depth about the light, I do just want to preface that these are all cuttings from plants that I already had, so it takes quite a while for them to root and then to start growing. Now, Exo Terra's new line of tropical plant growth LEDs has just been launched, and they came out with two versions. They came out with a 6500 Kelvin and a 4500 Kelvin. Personally, I'm going to be talking mostly about the 6500 Kelvin one because it just provides a much more naturalistic light, and from what I've seen, it actually is a little bit brighter. But just real quick, the 4500 Kelvin bulb is called the Deep Forest. It gives off a little bit of a more yellow light, something that I'm not personally striving for, but it blends in with a lot of the more tungsten lighting in your home. So if you don't want a stark contrast between your home and your terrarium, that's a perfect light for you. You can see them side by side here, the 6500 Kelvin and the 4500 Kelvin. My white balance is set the same in both of these clips that you guys are seeing, and you guys can just see one is much more white than the other, and that's just my personal preference. Before we actually get rolling on the review itself, I think it is crucial to mention that these are mounted horizontally. They do not work in a standard light dome or anything like that. You do need a fixture that holds them horizontally over the tank. Like the Exo Terra compact top, it works perfectly with these, as you would hope, because they are made by the same company. That's what I'm using over top of the 12x12x18 that is housing the Pumilio and that I tested these bulbs on. One of the really neat features of this bulb is that it actually rotates within the socket. Once you screw in the LED bulb itself, it actually will rotate, so you can angle it either to the front or to the back of the tank just to direct the beam of light in a place that you want it. If you're having too many shadows at the front, you can direct it to the front. If you're having too many shadows in the back, you can direct it to the back. It's totally customizable and 100% up to you. Now, the bulb itself is really slick. It's all blacked out. It looks incredible. You can see all the LED diodes on the bottom. That's what is the important part of this. So we are going to talk about the actual light that it gives off. And unfortunately, I don't have a par meter here with me. It is a very expensive tool to invest in, especially just for a review like this one. But I do hope to get one, and I will be making kind of an ultimate comparison of all the kind of light fixtures available to aquarists and reptile hobbyists. If you're wondering what PAR is, it's photosynthetically active radiation. It's essentially what the plant actually uses to grow, and that number depends on various different factors. Typically, it's just the electromagnetic radiation band between 400 and 700 nanometers. If you are on the GTA and want to hit me up to borrow yours, I will happily do so. That way that video can come out a lot sooner. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it was worth a shot. But in the meantime, I figured I would still test this bulb. So I went online and purchased a Lux Meter. Now, it's not a perfectly accurate way to measure light. Here's a visual breakdown of all the levels in the tank itself. About 1 inch from the top of the tank, we're hitting about 20,000 lux, which is actually quite high light, but do keep in mind that that is only an inch under the bulb itself. Now, midway up, we're hitting about 4,400 lux or so. It kind of varied depending where exactly I was holding it. And at the very bottom, we are hitting 1,500 lux. In summary, this bulb provides about medium lighting. You're not going to be able to grow insanely high light requiring plants. The medium light category falls typically between the values of about 2,500 lux all the way up to about 10,000 lux range, based on what you guys saw earlier about where the entire tank sits at. Obviously, if you're going to be growing plants an inch below the bulb itself, yeah, you could grow slightly higher light requirement plants, but that's typically not how most tanks work. Now, the low light category of plants typically falls between 2,500 lux and 500, and then very low light requiring plants are below 500 lux. You guys saw the bottom of the tank is hitting, if it's not in the shadow of the log itself, it's hitting about 1,500, so that's a decent amount of light, especially for lower light plants. So keep that in mind when you're using this bulb. On a 12 by 12 by 18, you'll be hitting about medium light levels throughout the entire tank. If you're just getting into the hobby like you might be doing if you're getting this bulb, then you'll be looking at what kind of plants can I actually grow under this light? And that's definitely a reasonable question. A lot of plants actually do fall into the medium light category. I would recommend things like pothos are a great thing to grow in this level of light. You can even grow some of the philodendrons. Philodendron micans is a really popular one right now. That would grow totally fine. Monstera adansonii will grow really well in this. You can see all the plants that I have in here. I have an apicia, which is growing great. There's a couple different ficus species in here that are growing well. They're typically a more slow growing plant anyway, so they're taking some time to get started, but they are showing signs of good light. Based on my experience, it won't give plants a lot of red color in them. I have a couple different plants in here like the bromeliad, and I have another plant in a bin over there that I've had this over for a little while, and it doesn't bring out the high red colors. So in my personal experience, if you're looking to get insane colors out of your bromeliads and such like that, then this might not be the light for you. Something that might actually help is if you had 2 of these bulbs over your tank. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments down below if you guys have certain different plants that you're looking to grow, and I can let you know if they will grow well or not under these lights. But that concludes the, I guess, testing portion of this. Let's kind of wrap up my thoughts and wrap up this video. With the growing popularity of naturalistic and bioactive tanks, I honestly think Exo Terra kind of knocked it out of the park on this one. They hit a great niche of not the most expensive or likely the highest performing light on the market, although I do suspect that might be coming down the pipeline soon. They hit it kind of midway, right where most beginners are willing to look at a bulb of this price and say, okay, if it's gonna grow plants, then that's what I want, that's what I need, and that's what I'm gonna pick up. And like I mentioned in the testing portion of this, most plants that we grow in terrariums are medium, kind of understory plants, and they do enjoy medium light requirements, so this bulb will actually work great for those plants. Because believe it or not, there is such thing as too much light, and unfortunately I found that out and burnt a couple of my plants to a crisp under various other lights, but you know, we won't talk about that here. This is also a before and after. The first photo was taken on December 23rd. You can see everything's all fresh, not much growth, and there's a lot of plant cuttings that have just been thrown in the tank, versus this photo that was taken January 25th, and unfortunately I planted a lot of very slow to take root plants, but honestly they are growing, they are showing signs of life. So overall thoughts are perfect for beginners, even for hobbyists that are interested in growing medium to low light plants. I should preface this by saying that this is also on a 12 by 12 by 18 terrarium. I don't know how far the light would penetrate down into like a 24 or a 36 inch deep tank. If you guys have tanks that big and you've used these lights before, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to engage in a conversation with you guys about what your findings are in a tank that tall with these lights. But for the people that have 12 by 12 by 18s, I think this is an incredible light that will be very, very useful to anybody in the hobby, but particularly beginners and people that might be new to the whole bioactive / naturalistic setup type ordeal. These lights are for you. So that's my review, you guys. You can see the bulb and the tank up here behind me. It is doing very well, and I'm actually going to keep this bulb on there for quite some time just to see on the long term how this plant bulb does. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really strongly hope you consider picking one up from whether it's online or a local pet store. Definitely go do so. It's going to grow your plants. I do want to say one more thank you to Exo Terra for sponsoring this video and sending me out the light. I really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to see how this bulb does in the coming months. If you enjoyed this review style video, let me know in the comments down below what products you'd like for me to review. I do have a couple more coming down the pipeline, so keep your eye open for that. I really hope to get more onto consistent videoing, but just, man, working full time, not as much fun as you're led to believe as a child. You know? It's crazy. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, click the like button. While you're down in the comment section, if you are one of the people who have used this, let me know what your experience has been and what you think of the product, because I'm always interested in the experiences that you guys have. It will help me form a more well-rounded position about them. If you guys want to follow me a little bit closer, there has been a lot of stuff happening in the reptile room, but I just haven't felt like picking up the camera and videoing it. Some not so positive things, unfortunately. So follow me on Instagram if you're interested in keeping up with that side of things. And that's going to wrap up the video. I want to thank you guys all very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.